one of my favorite nights of the entire year here at the library, and it's a pleasure to spend it all with you. Before we get started, there are some important people that I need to thank. First of all, as always, nothing in this building would happen without the help of the amazing staff that we have here. Linda Hoffman, Donna Novak, Pat Joyce, Melissa Perlotta, and many, many others all put in a lot of hard work for this event. Tonight, along with many, many other nights, would not be possible without them. I'd also like to thank our judges for their tireless work in this contest. They were Dennis Harding, Janice DiLorenzo, and library board member Sandra Hartman. I'd also like to thank all of the Woodland Park schools for their continued participation in this event. Mrs. Dewey, Mr. Gramata, Mr. Silverstein, Dr. D, and all of the dedicated teachers have been great supporters. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the entire Library Board of Trustees for their support and for the funding to make this event possible year after year. Mayor Kazmark had every intention to attend tonight, but unfortunately something came up and he was not able to. But I would like to extend his sincere congratulations on all of your compliments. He has read all of your poems and could not be more proud of the amazing constituents he has. So as I was thinking about what I wanted to say tonight, there was this one poem that just kept coming up. And so I figured if you'll permit, I'll just read it to you tonight. It's by former poet laureate Billy Collins, and it's called The Trouble with Poetry, a poem of explanation. The trouble with poetry. The trouble with poetry, I realized, as I walked along a beach one night, cold Florida sand under my bare feet, a show of stars in the sky. The trouble with poetry is that it encourages the writing of more poetry. More guppies crowding the fish tank, more baby rabbits hopping out of their mothers and into the dewy grass. And how will it ever end? Unless the day finally arrives when we have compared everything in the world to everything else in the world, and there is nothing left to do but quietly close our notebooks and sit with our hands folded on our desks. Poetry fills me with joy, and I rise like a feather in the wind. Poetry fills me with sorrow, and I sink like a chain flung from a bridge. But mostly, poetry fills me with the urge to write poetry, to sit in the dark and wait for a little flame to appear at the end of my pencil. And along with that, the longing to steal, to break into the poems of others with a flashlight and a ski mask. And what an unmarried band of thieves we are. Cut purses, common shoplifters, I thought to myself as a cold wave swirled around my feet and the lighthouse moved its megaphone over the sea, which is an image I stole directly from Lawrence Ferlinghetti, to be perfectly honest, for a moment. The bicycling poet of San Francisco, whose little amusement park of a book I carried in my side pocket of my uniform up and down the treacherous halls of high school. So as I was reading your poems, that poem just kept coming to mind, because all of the submissions we have received this year were just phenomenal. And I think it's pretty amazing that for 18 years this community has gathered together to celebrate poetry and to celebrate the achievements of its writers. All of the poems submitted have been bound, and this book will be kept in the permanent collection of the library alongside all of the previous year's collections. And you now have a place in the legacy of this community. You are its poets. So all of the submissions that we received this year, they made me laugh, many made me cry. And so the biggest thank you that I have tonight is from me to all of you and everyone who submitted poems. Keep writing, keep reading, keep expressing yourselves. Your poems made me want to write poems. So thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for opening your hearts, and thank you for sharing your poems with us. So I'll introduce the award winners, and you'll come up and I'll hand you a packet. And in the packet is your certificate and a small gift from us. And on the front of your packet is your poem. So our first poet is Christopher Perez from Category A, which is 1st to 3rd grade. And Christopher will be reading his poem, Titanic.
In the land of rubber bands, there was a ship that glowed. There was Molly Brown, the Astors, Mr. Guggenheim, and Captain Edward Smith. They were going to a new land. Very cold waters, starry night. Boom, Titanic struck an iceberg. When the rooms flood quick, Captain had to stay on the ship. Third and second class rooms flood next. Oh my God, what a mess. That goes down, stern went up. The lifeboats were not enough. Boom, 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 Titanic cracked in half. 100 years ago, the royal ship sank to the ocean floor.
I'll just speak loudly. Our next winner is Mia McInerney, reading her poem, What Makes a Day? What Makes My Day?
What makes my day? A kiss on the cheek makes my day because it starts me off in a good way. My cat purring on my lap as it takes a little nap. Eating ice cream too on a hot summer day, especially when I don't have to pay. I like to sit by the bay and listen to what the fish have to say. After I take a big long test, I like to take a rest. As I climb into bed, I think about the day ahead.
Up next, we have Gabrielle Cielo reading her poem, Summer. Cielo.
I love summer, but don't rush it, then it would be a bummer. You can go to the ocean, but first put on suntan lotion. Have fun in the sun. Go on vacation and get some relaxation. Get out of school and go to the pool.
Okay, and now we're moving on to category B, which is grade 4 to 5. And our first poet is Mia Prezzosi, reading her poem, My Backyard.
My backyard. Winter, spring, summer, fall, every year I wait for them all. My big backyard has so much space to swim, to jump rope, to have a race. In the winter, I sled down the slope in my yard. I hope I don't hit my fence so hard. In the spring, I play in the warm sun. Flowers bloom and I have so much fun. In the summer, I swim in my semi-in-ground pool. I make a water slide and the sprinklers are so cool. In the fall, we make a jumbo pile of leaves. We play in all the leaves that are tree leaves. Sometimes we have parties and barbecues too. If this was your backyard, would you love it too?
And our next poet is Gina Manzi, reading Under the Sea.
Under the sea. Did you ever sit and wonder what lurks under the sea? Surely if we found out, I wonder what it would be. Is it giant squids or octopus kids, cranky crabs or angelfish that drive cats? So don't you see what's in store for you and me if we knew what lurks under the sea?
Our next category is grade 6 to grade 8. Our first place goes to Catherine Donovan, whose poem is New York. Unfortunately, fortunately, Catherine's softball team is in finals, so she can't be with us tonight, but Rosemary Ficarra will read her poem for her.
New York by Catherine Donovan, read by Rosemary Ficarra. The lights are always sparkling, the people are always out. There is no sleep in New York, and there are always sounds. So many things to do, day by day. going to the mall, going to museums, even Broadway. It's a time you won't forget. You can spend time with your family and have no regrets.
And in second place, we have Nicole Capria reading her poem, Be Yourself.
You know, sometimes the older you get, the harder it is to do these things, especially when you're shy. But it's these people with all this shyness sometimes that have the best things to say. And and it comes from their heart, and that's why it's sometimes hard for them to say it. But come on, you wanna try?
Just
These are all your friends.
Just
Good.
pretend it says.
Be yourself. Do it with me. Sometimes you have to shut it out. Everything people say, no matter what they do, you do it your way. Don't be a follower and always stay true, because maybe one day people will want to be just like you.
Our next poet is Jonathan Olivo reading Unusual Creatures.
There are unusual creatures all around our world. These creatures can be good or evil, real, charitable, strong or weak. Some are violent, some are peaceful. And these unusual creatures can hurt or help other living creatures. When animals see them, they run away. Fish hides underwater. Cats tremble in fear when they see these unusual creatures. They can be evil as the devil or good as a saint. The animal calls them humans.
Okay, category D is for high school to age 18. And our first place poet is Emily Tomino reading her poem, What I Miss the Most.
You are sick. You are lying in your hospital bed, which I've sat on enough times to remember the feel. But your bed was not in the hospital. It's in our living room, because you wanted to be at home. You are so sick you cannot leave this bed. It has become your new home. A place so comforting, yet unsettling, because you know it will be hard to ever leave it. I remember when I would brush your hair, and you'd cry when I put it into a ponytail because you were tired of seeing it all fall out. I remember brushing your hair, and I wish I never acted like it was a burden. I can still feel the dryness, how brittle and weak your hair was, much like your skin in which you were too weak to bathe. Yet you still struggled to keep those tears from falling from my eyes. You in your weakest state are the most loving of all, because you realize you won't be here forever, and I realize how much I love your smell, and your smile, and saying I love you, and brushing your hair, because now it's what I miss the most.
Next, Lourdes Aguilar will be reading her poem, The Mirror. Is Lourdes here tonight?
Yes, I'm going to read for her.
Oh, wonderful.
This is The Mirror by Lourdes Aguilar. I look in the mirror and see a girl who is staring back at me. I don't know who she is because she's not who I want to be. She puts on a smile while inside she's falling apart. She tells everyone I'm okay as anguish fills her heart. She pretends not to care when everyone slowly walks away. She hides behind her mask while her ends begin to fray. She's scared to let people close. It always ends up in heartache. She finally decides to trust someone, but is incessantly a big mistake. She feels like a stranger in her own home, like she doesn't even belong. She tries the best she can, even though it seems to be wrong. She freezes up at the word love. People throw it around too much. Her muscles constrict. She is afraid to be touched. She has no ideas for the future, no hopes and dreams of her own, so she doesn't hold her breath. Disappointment is all she's ever known. She asks, why am I never good enough? Why am I always the second choice? They tell her she's got to stand up for what she wants. She's got to find her own voice. I know who I want to be. It's all so much clearer, but the fact of life is I'm only the girl in the mirror.
And next we have Donna Betcht reading her poem, My Dear, Why Can't You See?
There you sit, alone and on your own. My dear, why are you so frightened? The summer ordeal is nearly over. You will not get much more. Your time here is at an end. Why will you not move on? Oh, my love, I'm truly sorry. I don't mean to be this way. I love you, please know that. But I just can't keep up. I'm not strong to make me sing. What you see is what with me is not what you get. There's so much more that you yet to even know. I try and I try, but I cannot do this. Please understand, this is goodbye. No, you cannot go. I love you too. You're all that I've ever known. You can't leave. You're the only one who hasn't. But you want to be like everyone else, but you don't understand. It's society this week, not you, my dear. Please try and understand you are strong on your own.
Our final category is for ages 18 and older, and our first place poet is Robert LaConte, and he'll be sharing his poem, My Mother Died, But She Still Lives.
I would like to dedicate the next 6 minutes to everyone who has lost their mom. My mother's name is Bette LaConte. She was as bubbly as Asti Spumante. She loved to write and read her rhymes. She won this contest several times. And though physically she is out of sight, her spirit is in this library tonight. If you have lost your mother, the following poem possesses phrases that may really hit home. Whether boy or girl, madam or sir, close your eyes, listen, and think of her. My mother died, but she still lives in radiant warmth each summer gives, in winter snowflakes falling to the ground, in all simple joys, wherever they're found. My mother passed, but she remains in autumn leaves and springtime rains, in peaceful expressions of every season, in every smile, whatever good reason. My mother perished, but she survives in joyful, triumphant team high fives, in every bird's song, in schoolyard games, when waves splash beaches, near fireplace flames. My mother departed, but she returns when a child laughs, when a student learns, when kittens purr, when dogs wag tails, when love is needed, if all else fails. My mother went away, but she still lingers in gentle touches of tender fingers, caressing roses, or as butterfly perches, in choir voices soaring in churches. My mother is absent, but she is present in all things beautiful and nothing unpleasant, in friendships, hugs, and all good deeds, in every prayer, in rosary beads. My mother is missing, but she can be seen in happy moments in nature's green, in children and grandchildren's successes, in anything and everything that God blesses. My mother is lost, but I can find her in those who seek to live life kinder and make it their purpose to eliminate disharmony and human hate. My mother is deceased, but she is reborn when each new dawn presents each morn. And if I look with my mind's eye, I see her twinkle in the night sky. My mother is gone, but she's still here. And if I listen with a careful ear, I hear the familiar voice I seek. It's Mom, not the wind, kissing my cheek. My mother isn't home, but she's at my side, walking with me with every stride, and speaking the words she would often say. Has anyone told you you are special today? My mother left, but she also stayed. Her amazing legacy will never fade, nor will the memories of her life as teacher, mother, grandmother, and wife. My mother isn't dead. She gloriously sings with Almighty God with angel wings, in a musical concert with fireworks spirit, an awesome show, and the heavens cheer it. My mother is alive, and she's here in my heart. And now that I'm sure we will never be apart, I will love her forever with perpetual pride. My mother still lives, even though she died.
Our second place poet, S.K. Holmes, will be reading his poem, Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. I saw Bumblebee today. Upon a daisy he sat. I spoke with a bumblebee today. Nothing much to say but this and that. I asked the bumblebee today, how is it you can fly? A puzzled look he gave me, as if to ask me why. Bumblebee, I've heard you are not built to fly. Your body is wrong, as are your wings. So my friend, the reason you can fly is one of life's curious things. He buzzed and puzzled for a time, then he buzzed his answer. Oh, my human friend, you see, the reason I can fly can be told so simply. No one ever said a thing to me.
Our final poet, Thomas Boyle, was not able to make the event tonight, so I will be reading his poem, Pass and Review. Pass and Review. How many friends have passed away? How many dreams have gone astray? How many years or days yet to survive, and our greatest desire to stay alive? Thoughts and visions pass and review, living moments as a family we grew. In our youth, immune to it all, we lived and loved and danced to the call. The hourglass sand continues to flow, the pendulum swings to and fro. From beginning to end is the way it must be. Sooner or later, it will happen to me. So let it be. Savor each day. Do as you wish. Do it your way. So thank you all so much for being here tonight. Earlier I said that Mayor Kazmark was not able to attend, but we do have Council President Tina Gotti here on his behalf. don't know what to say. I feel like we said it all. But again, thank you so much for opening your hearts, for finding your poems, for having the courage to write your poems, and the courage to share them with us. We have cookies, we have punch. Let's celebrate.
What?
Oh, wait. We need to take a group photo. I'd like to have all of the winners up here.
Okay.